Tiv has only two children, Ipusu and Ichongu. Ipusu was the firstborn, and at that time his father was uncircumcised. He was born on the farm. Now a certain foreigner who was out hunting elephant chanced to come that way, and seeing Tiv with his child Ipusu, asked him how it was that he had begotten a child without having been circumcised. Tiv replied that he did not know what circumcision was, but would like to be shown. The foreigner showed him, and it pleased him, so that he asked if he might also be circumcised. The other agreed, but added, "Circumcision is a very big thing, and can only be done on certain conditions. You must give me something before I can circumcise you." Tiv said, "Yes, indeed, that is quite right. Tell me, what must I give?" The foreigner told him to give a chicken. Tiv asked, "A hen or a cock?" The foreigner said, "Neither is taboo, but there must be two of them." So Tiv got up, chased and caught two chickens, gave them to the foreigner, and he circumcised him. When he had done, Tiv said he would now like to buy the practice of circumcision in order that he might in his own turn circumcise his race forever, from generation to generation. "Very well," said the other. "If you ask me to teach you, I will certainly do so, but not for nothing. You must buy. If you perform the operation without having bought the right to do so, it will go wrong." Tiv said that he readily agreed. What must he give? The foreigner told him to give two chickens and a 10-20, which meant a young chicken. For at that time, a hen or a cock was a 20, but a young pullet or cockerel would be a 10-20. This fee which the foreigner prescribed was for showing Tiv the medicine which he would use to apply to stop the bleeding if there was much loss of blood after the operation. Tiv did not dispute this. He got up, caught two chickens and a young pullet for showing of the medicine, and gave them to the foreigner, who thereupon taught him how to perform the act of circumcision. It was with his own type of razor that the foreigner circumcised Tiv, and afterwards he drew out a razor of the kind which he had used and gave it to him. He told him never to use any other kind of razor, save only for the foreign razor which he had given him, and to make no mistake about it. That is why the Tiv from that time have always used a foreign razor for circumcision. They have nothing of their own with which to do it, since originally Tiv had no knowledge of circumcision whatever until it was shown by the foreigner. It was the foreigner who taught him how to circumcise and also gave him the razor to use for the purpose. When Tiv had recovered from the operation, his wife again became pregnant and in due course gave birth to another son. So Tiv gave him the name Ichongu because he was born after he had been circumcised. That is why he called his child his circumcision and the first son his uncircumcision. When Tiv died, his children were called after him. For a time they were known as Tiv's children, but this term was afterwards dropped as it did not sound well, and the whole tribe came to be included under the name Tiv. The Tiv married women from the neighboring bush tribes and had children by them, both sons and daughters. When their sons grew to manhood and their daughters reached puberty, the bush people cast their eyes upon them and demanded that the Tiv should now give them their daughters to marry in return. When they refused to do this, the bushmen were angry. "What?" they cried. "Why are these Tiv becoming so assertive? We used to give them our daughters to marry, thinking of our children who were yet unborn. Why will they not give their daughters to our sons? Is it we who have been fools then?" This was the beginning of the quarrel. Faced with the hostility of the bush tribes, the Tiv abandoned their sites and began to move down. They left the east on the one hand and the south on the other and came down between until they met with the people called Fulani. The Fulani shepherded them and escorted them down. They never troubled them or oppressed them in any way, but came down in company with the Tiv quite peacefully. Thus the Tiv formed a close friendship with them. Whenever they came up against any other tribe that wanted to fight with them, the Fulani would attack their enemies and drive them off. When the Tiv saw the strength of the Fulani, they gave them the name of Pu, which in the Tiv language means to be stronger. For the Fulani were stronger than all others at that time. Whatever tribe they attacked, they were sure to overcome it. The Fulani fought with staves, little white spears, and swords, but they never agreed to give the Tiv any of these weapons of war, for they did not want to teach them all they knew. Some, judging only by outward appearances, say that the Tivs are slaves of the Fulani. This was never so. But insofar that they greatly helped the Tiv in delivering them from the hands of the bush tribes, so the Tiv repaid them by giving them the help of their labor. For the Tiv were a people who understood how to cultivate the soil, whereas the Fulani were a tribe of herdsmen and knew nothing about farming. So when they were out with the cattle to graze, the Tiv would do their farm work for them. The two races differed in appearance because the Fulani wore clothes, but the Tiv were unkempt, and for this reason, the Fulani children used to jeer at the Tiv children whenever there was a quarrel, saying, "Your fathers are slaves who work for our fathers." But their fathers never took any notice of this, nor did the Tiv. The Fulani and the Tiv, however, were not together very long before they parted company. The two peoples were so intimately connected that they did not refrain from intermarriage, but the Tiv did not like the Fulani marrying their daughters. When the elders saw this was their intention, they were not at all pleased, for they said, "This is just the thing which we have already refused to allow, and here it is again. We do not let the bush tribes marry our daughters, so why should the Fulani be scheming to take them? They are not of our race, and it is best that we should separate. We will go our way, and they shall go theirs. But let us not part with ill feeling. Let us part good friends." So the Tiv elders, having first talked the matter over among themselves, called all the chief men of the Fulani, and they sat down and discussed it together. The Fulani elders agreed to the Tiv proposal, but they said, "Since our parting is without rancor, it seems to us that each of us should leave some memorial of the event. What do you think? It may be that someday hence our children and your children will not know of the good fellowship which exists between us today. Let us then appoint a token." The Tiv said, "That is not necessary. Even though we have no token, the resemblance between us is the main thing. For our daughters have borne children to you, and your daughters have married our sons and borne children to us, so that we have indeed intermingled our blood. This is a fact which will never be forgotten." The Fulani said, "Nevertheless, let us make it an occasion for giving small presents. We will set aside a month in which you may catch us and take a little money from us, or a cloth which has been burnt in the fire." "Very well then," said the Tiv, but it did not seem to them to matter very much. They agreed in order that the Fulani should leave them to go their own way. And that is why, even down to the present day, the Tiv do not trouble to catch the Fulani and receive their clothes. So they separated. The Fulani turned back towards the rising sun, and the Tiv passed on down alone. It is possible to find some slight evidence to show that the Tiv were once connected with the Fulani. They are alike in outward appearance, and on one or two of their words are the same. For example, if the Fulani wish to say to one of their brothers, "Come, let us go," they will say Shinja, exactly like a Tiv, and their name for a tree-felling axe is Ijembe, as in Tiv. These facts may possibly show that there is some truth in the story of a connection between the Tiv and the Fulani. And another thing, the Europeans who know about the country say that in the days before the white man came, the Fulani in this part grew more powerful than all other peoples, and eventually it was they who became the rulers of the great Hausa states, such as Sokoto. Is this evidence perhaps sufficient to let us believe that the Fulani were at one time in contact with the Tiv? Otherwise, how is it that all of the other different tribes, none are mentioned, save only the Fulani, who were certainly the most powerful at the time? What do you think about this history? Drop a comment and let us know.